What's going on, all you minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. That's exactly what I'm going to be talking about today. We have 11 different books coming out from Marvel this week. So let's go ahead and get started. Before getting started, I want to give a huge thank you to David Gabriel and the fine folks at Marvel for sending us advance copies of these trades. All of these books are due out in the direct market and book market on August 23rd or 24th, depending on where you get your books. We have 11 books to talk about today, so no time to waste. As always, timestamps in the description of the video so you can jump around in case you're just curious about a couple of books, or if you want to see the whole video, by all means, please watch the whole video. Smash that like button, though. But yes, let's go ahead and get started. We'll talk about Silver Surfer Rebirth. Okay, kicking off this round of overviews is Silver Surfer Rebirth. I just realized I showed off all the spines, so no spine watching time in the middle of the episode. But this is the latest series of Silver Surfer. There's currently not an ongoing Silver Surfer series, unless you all know something that I don't. But this is the reunion of Ron Mars and Ron Lim. Two of the biggest Rons in the industry. Seriously, Ron Lim to me is one of my favorite artists. The man is immensely talented and can also, well, at one time, I don't know about now, could carry 4 monthly titles sometimes. It was insane how much he was drawing. That man must not have slept. So this is told sometime in the past with the character of Legacy. This is Genis Vell, Captain Marvel's son. I announced an omnibus coming out with Peter David's run on this particular character, but during this time he is just known as Legacy. And Legacy teams up with Silver Surfer to stop a big catastrophic event from happening. However, something weird happens during this particular rescue mission. Genis Vell, the son of the original Captain Marvel, is riding around, or flying around rather. Silver Surfer's the only one that's riding anything around. And for some reason, something happens, and it is revealed later. He turns into the original Captain Marvel, Mar-Vell. And of course, Silver Surfer immediately notices the change, and he's like, what's happening? Have they traveled back in time? What's going on? Now, this isn't much of a spoiler because this sets up the rest of the book, because the book is called Rebirth. So, at first, it's the story of Silver Surfer reunited with Captain Mar-Vell. And we get to find out exactly what the Rebirth is. And the Rebirth is the return of this character, Thanos of Titan. That's not even a spoiler considering we just saw the back of the book right there. But when is Thanos not coming back? But that's not really what the story is about. It's not a big fight between Silver Surfer and Thanos. It's more of Thanos seeking out the help of the Silver Surfer. So you have Norrin Radd helping out Thanos because someone has taken his reality gem. Someone has stolen the reality gem from Thanos, and they have to team up to get it back because it could mean the end of the universe. Now, this somebody is a character that comes back from the pages of Ron Mars and Ron Lim's run on Silver Surfer. That's what makes this so special. It's a reunion of two creators coming back to the characters that they used to write about in the 90s. Ron Mars took over Jim Starlin's run after Jim Starlin left the book, and he was a big part of Silver Surfer. He was the writer on Silver Surfer when I was getting it monthly. So it's interesting to see not just the team up, but also the return of a particular villain in this very miniseries. Now, this collects all 5 issues of the miniseries. The book retails for $15.99. It has 112 pages, and we got a lot to talk about today. Let's look at the extras. Okay, this is how we're going to look at the extras. There's no extras in the back, but the extras are in between the chapters. So the ending of issue number 1, here's the cover to issue number 2. On the opposite page are some of the variants and thumbnail size, and that is a gorgeous Jim Chung picture right there. All right, let's keep on going. King Conan by Jason Aaron and Mahmoud Asrar. This book right here has a parental advisory. It retails for $17.99 and collects all 6 issues of King Conan. So Jason Aaron is reunited with Mahmoud Asrar to tell what I guess will be the final story of Conan, as far as now in the Marvel Universe. And it's interesting that this came out around the same time that I got the King Conan Omnibus. So it's like reading Roy Thomas and Big John Buscema's take on Robert E. Howard's King Conan era, and then reading Jason Aaron's run. So Jason Aaron takes a different approach and almost gives it a closure, a bookend to all the Conan stories. Now, as far as Conan throughout the Dark Horse years, or Marvel years, or the movies, or even some of the short stories that I read in the collection of Robert E. Howard books, I think this is the furthest we've ever seen, or the oldest we've seen Conan, as far as I know. I haven't read all the Conan stories, and I haven't finished reading King Conan because, well, we only got the first omnibus. But this reunites Conan with one of his greatest enemies right here, and this is Thothomon. Of course, he's been a thorn in his spine for so many years, and now they're reunited a lot older. And during this fight, Conan has flashbacks of his life, so you get to find out how he fell in love, and how he has his own son named Conan, but everybody calls him Con, and how he just pretty much decides to leave the throne for a while and go on adventures, because he got restless. That's what happens with Conan. So he gets restless one day, sails to the west, and goes on an adventure. Nobody knows where he went, and this is the beginning of his, well, what will be known as the final journey right here. And there are a series of flashbacks talking about his relationship with his son. I really like that. I really like Jason Aaron's approach on Conan, and I really wish this could have gone longer. There was a big controversial figure in this particular storyline that had to be redrawn. And let me see if I can find her. It's this character right here that goes by the name of Princess Prima. There's a big backlash on the internet about that, so they had to change her outfit. But she runs into Conan. She's a fictional character in this, but apparently was based on a real character, or a real person, historical person. But the artwork, my gosh, these two just kicking all kinds of ass on this particular story. It was awesome to see them reunited again to tell, I guess, the final fate of Conan. And the thing that I enjoyed the most is that towards the very end, well, I can't give that away. There's a really good moment here. A good metaphorical moment of Conan's life and what it's represented by. I thought that was a really cool take on the character, a good send-off to the character, and much like the Thanos and Silver Surfer book I just talked about, Conan and Thothomon actually have to team up against these army of the undead that are coming for both of them. So they have a team up. And of course, Thothomon can't be trusted. Look at that art, man. Would have loved to have seen this in a big deluxe format. This book retails for $17.99. Again, collecting all 6 issues. Let's look at the extras. I am, of course, censoring that final page, but the extras are over here on the right-hand side. That is a beautiful piece right there. 144 pages. King Conan. Eternals, Volume 2, Hail Thanos. Kieran Gillen, holy crap. This run on Eternals has been so awesome. Ezad Ribic doing the artwork for the most part. He is helped out in a couple of issues by this gentleman right here, Guy Villanova, and Matthew Wilson providing the colors. This has been the most fun I've had reading Eternals. I've said on my channel, I'm not the biggest fan of Eternals, and that doesn't mean to push anybody else off of the characters. If you're a fan of the Jack Kirby run, or the Peter Gillis run, or Neil Gaiman, by all means, yes, that's wonderful. I'm glad you have been enjoying the characters. But for me, they're just a part of the Marvel Universe that I never really clicked, or rather, they click with me. Gillen just changes up the game a lot by taking a lot of these familiar stories and giving them just a tiny little bit of a spin. So we've learned that the Eternals are tied to human lives. For an Eternal to be reborn, a human life must perish, unfortunately. So they learn the truth of that in these particular issues. So these Eternals have been reborn. Now, I will say that they have been reborn, and if you're a huge fan of the way the Eternals look, they look a lot different now. Well, not all of them. Some of them do. Some of them look more like their movie counterparts. Like Ajax. Ajax was always a dude to me, but when reborn, decided to be a female, I guess to coincide with what's going on in the movie or the MCU. But then again, they didn't change the character of Druig or Icarus for that matter. But some of the characters have changed. Mainly three of them. Mercari and Ajax. And I believe also Sprite has changed. But this is what the artwork looks like. And yes, Thanos is here. Because this particular Society of Eternals, they're just falling apart. You know, you have the Deviants pretty much taking advantage of that. And you get to find out about Thanos and his connection to the Eternals. But that was in the last volume. And you can, without going into spoilers, you can find all that out by yourself. But this does lead into something big, which I assume is the big crossover. Now, Esad Ribbich's artwork, gosh, he kills it every time. But I will say there was something weird that threw me off in here, and it was the way that he drew Captain Marvel. So the Eternals have a connection to the Celestials, and we all know that's where the Avengers are hanging out. And right here, the Avengers Mountain, which is made up of Celestial. That all happened in the pages of Jason Aaron's run on Avengers. But here when we see some of the Avengers, now there's nothing wrong with the way that he drew her here, Captain Marvel. But here, I thought she was possessed because of her facial features. I don't know. It just really threw me off. I thought I was missing something, but it was never talked about again. So maybe that was just a bad day. I don't know. Sometimes artists do have bad panels, no matter how great the artist is. And I'm not really one to try to point them out. But I thought it was part of the story. That's how much it stood out to me. But the rest of the art, my gosh. And he draws some gorgeous women. That's why that one stood out to me. Now, this all does lead into this AXE, the big crossover between Avengers, X-Men, and the Eternals. Because, you know, the Avengers are a big part of this because of the whole Celestial tie-in. And they're just pretty much tired of the Eternals lying to them about everything. I love these right here. These mappings, these breakdowns that Gillen puts throughout these issues. And then the X-Men, you know, they've conquered their own way of becoming Eternals in a way. You can find out by reading the pages of X-Men what I'm talking about. And they've done it in a way where they don't have to sacrifice a human life. There is a really powerful moment here that I didn't talk about, by the way, when Icarus finds out that a human life had to be given for him to be resurrected. And it was such a good confrontation. That was moving, man. All of this, like I said, leads into that, so you can find out for yourself how exactly what's happening, what exactly is extinction. Let's look at what we have as extras, though. So we have some design variants right here by Esad Ribbich, and some other variant covers, including some classic-looking covers right here with classic colors. The book retails again for $17.99, and it has 136 pages. Collecting Eternals, the most current series from 2021, 7 through 12. I thought that was Ron Lim, but it's Arthur Adams. Man, there are a lot of covers. And then the headshot covers. Next up is Star Wars Crimson Reign. Now, this collects the 5-issue miniseries Crimson Reign, written by Charles Soule, drawn by Steve Cummings. And you also have Victor Olazaba supplying the inks, and Guro FX doing the colors. So this takes place, actually, I think they tell you, where is it? No, maybe they don't. Maybe they just jump right in. This takes place after the events of War of the Bounty Hunters, because we see these characters in War of the Bounty Hunters. So this is pretty much the second part of what will be a trilogy. So it's during the Age of the Rebellion. So this is after Star Wars A New Hope. And there's a new criminal organization that is known as the Crimson Dawn. They're neither aligning themselves with the rebellion nor the Empire. They're kind of their own thing. So in this, you get to find out what their goal is. And this is really cool. They're all being led by this character right here. But I wanted to go back to this page. So Lady Kira has summoned all of these characters right here. And this is the Knights of Ren, Chanath, Cha and the Orphans. This is Deathstick and Margot and Trinia and the Archivist. There are characters that have appeared through the latest issues of the Marvel Star Wars comics. Now, she's gathered them here for a purpose. She starts telling them about the Sith and about the story of Darth Maul and how Darth Maul died, was resurrected, and then turned against the Emperor, or Darth Sidious. So she tells them this theory that nobody really thinks about, but apparently there's one man that kind of shapes the universe, that kind of shapes the future of everyone, and that is Darth Sidious. Otherwise, everybody knows him as Emperor Palpatine. And then, of course, he has his apprentice, Darth Vader. In order to save the galaxy, she says they must die. So it's interesting to see her gather all these characters together and then send them in separate types of missions. There's a lot of sit-downs here, by the way, in the first issue. It's a little bit boring at first because we get to see the same plot line played out from different characters' perspective. I want to see how this ties into the other books, though, like the Bounty Hunter books or the Star Wars books that's ongoing, or even Darth Vader. Because Darth does show up, and there's a badass scene in here where Darth shows up, and it has something to do with the Knights of Ren. But I like that idea of a bunch of characters that really don't play a big part, of course, right? Because they weren't in the movies or anything. But they actually have figured out what is going to help the galaxy. And they may have to ally themselves with the rebellion to stand up against these evil forces that are driving the Empire. So I thought it was a pretty interesting story. I want to see more of it. I'm curious to see how it will be collected, because I feel like I'm missing chunks of the story in here because this is only the 5-issue series. And I think Crimson Reign does go throughout all of the Star Wars books. So if you've read it, let me know, because I feel like I am missing a couple of things, especially when she sends people off in different missions. I like the fact that Lady Kira actually knows all these things that have happened in the past that have affected all of these characters and where they are now. I'm going to save a few of the pages in there. But the way that she talks to these characters and how she gets them to do her bidding, or how she gains her trust, is she tells each of them. This is cool. This is something I probably should have pointed out. But she goes through each of them and says, you know, he's taking your vision, he's taking your love. So you get to find out more and more about some of these characters that have appeared through the pages of the recent Star Wars books. A little bit of a flashback as to, especially one particular character here, the orphans. Yes, Chanath, Cha, and the orphans, because she mentions they've taken your love and your identity, your vision, your legacy, your hope. So, pretty cool. Pretty cool way of getting people to do what needs to be done. Now, this book right here has 136 pages, retails for $15.99. Let's take a look at the extras, because we do have some extras. All the variants are all the way back here. I really like her character. There's my dude, Black Chrysanthemum. I've missed him in the pages of Dr. Aphra. Wolverine, Black, White, and Blood. Now, I've done an overview of the Treasury Edition. Gallery editions are hardcovers, Treasury editions are softcovers, but they are the dimensions of a magazine. So, this collects Wolverine, Black, White, and Blood. It's got the exact same material as the Treasury Edition. It's got the same page count, 136 pages, collecting Wolverine, Black, White, and Blood, 1 through 4. You have the exact same collaborators working on these books. Declan Shalvey, Jerry Duggan, Matthew Rosenberg, Donnie Cates, just providing some of the little stories in here done in an anthology format. And all of it done in black, white, and, that's right, blood. That's not real blood, it's red. So just telling stories of Logan's past, his present, and none of them are really connected. So you don't need to have read issue 1 to understand what's going on in issue 3. Again, in different parts of Logan's past, whether he was part of the Weapon X project, when he was going as Patch, when it was James Howlett, when he was part of the X-Men, when he was part of Alpha Flight. It's all through here. And this one, I'm pretty sure it does have a parental advisory because of the violence. Retailing for $17.99. Let's take a look at the extras. And if you want to see more of an in-depth overview, then by all means check out my gallery edition. This is just in trade paperback format. So here we have some variant covers all the way back here, and then some art process by Adam Kubert. And the cover variations from Adam Kubert. There's also a Deadpool black, white, and blood. There's an Elektra black, white, and blood, and the Carnage black, white, and blood. But that is Wolverine black, white, and blood. Never gets old saying that. We're about halfway through the video. This is usually where I do the spines, or show all of the spines, but you saw that at the beginning of the video. And again, it'll be at the end of the video. But this is where I remind everybody to please smash that like button. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Ring that bell for notifications. Please. All that helps with our YouTube algorithm. And it means the world to us. Very small thing you can do, but it goes a long way. So this is Devil's Reign. It's the Marvel event Devil's Reign. It's not labeled as Daredevil Devil's Reign. It's across the Marvel Universe. And this collects issues 1 through 6 of the event, which is the entire event, as well as Devil's Reign Omega. This book has 208 pages and retails for $34.99. Now, I'll just give you a quick little premise of the story without going too much into spoilers, because there's a lot of things that happen here. So Wilson Fisk is confronting Daredevil, because Wilson Fisk thinks something is up. Now, Wilson Fisk, when I say that, is, of course, the Kingpin, or formerly known as the Kingpin, because as of Chip Zdarsky's run on Daredevil, he has had a role in the political system, if you will. So if you don't want to know anything about that, maybe put me on mute or move on to the next book. Just in case, because I am going to talk a little bit about what's happening in the pages of Daredevil by Chip Zdarsky. Just in case you haven't read any of those. Now, if you don't care about spoilers, by all means, stick around. Alright, tiny spoilers, but Wilson Fisk is now the mayor of New York, which is crazy. How the hell did that happen? Well, you can find out. I'm not going to spoil how. He's also married now. He's married to this young lady right here, Typhoid Mary. How the hell did that happen? Why? Isn't she crazy? Well, it depends on who's writing her. I really think she's a complex character that not every writer can nail. But now she is married to the mayor of New York. And Wilson Fisk has found out something weird. He confronts Daredevil, and he seems to think that he knew Daredevil's secret identity. And with that, he uses it as kind of a crutch to kick off this whole movement, almost like the Hero Registration Act, but to get his own team of supervillains, really, running them as the Thunderbolts, and get his own Guardians to go out there and arrest these vigilantes. So he is pretty much put out an order to go and arrest these folks. And because of his political stance and where he is, he can do that. He's using his political power and his criminal background together to finally get revenge on these characters. He wants to destroy Daredevil. So all of that because he seems to think that he knew who Daredevil was, but something happened. Now, if you've read Chip Zdarsky's run, you know what's happened. You know there's also a character named of Mike Murdock. Mike Murdock, of course, being Daredevil's brother. How the hell did that happen? Because if you read Mike Murdock and Matt Murdock in the past, you know that Mike was just something that Matt Murdock came up with, so he can kind of use it as a dual identity. So he can run around as Daredevil and claim that, oh, it was Mike Murdock. But anyway, Here we have Butch. This is one of the sons of the Kingpin. I say one of because I'll talk about the other son in a little bit here. And that's who Mike is hanging out with. So the crap hits the fan, of course. And eventually Wilson Fisk uses some kind of magical power. And you can find out exactly what that means. But holy crap, look at this artwork by Cacchetto. Marco Cacchetto kicking all kinds of ass again. This is where he's been hanging out. He was missing from issues of Daredevil. And has his art been missed? This is one of my favorite artists over the last few years. I remember finding his artwork in the pages of The Punisher by Greg Rucka. Hopefully we'll get that, some kind of omnibus of that one day. And really stood out to me. And I don't think at the time anybody was really talking about this guy. But holy crap, his art is just so dynamic. So it's very important to understand the other miniseries by reading this first. Because I don't know if there's, I assume there's going to be an omnibus of this. But it would just be so hard to map this out by putting the miniseries in between. Because, like, when I'm talking, I'll show you an example here because I am going to be talking about this. Like, you have the Superior characters right here. This is the Superior 4. Now, do I really want to read 3 issues of the Superior 4, Doc Ock going around different dimensions trying to recruit other Doc Ocks, or jump right into the next issue of this? I think that would be a really difficult decision to make. Because do I want the book collected in publishing order, or would I want the book collected in a good reading order? I think we have to find a good mix. And what the hell am I talking about? Because that hasn't even been mentioned. It's not even on the table. I'm just hypothetically speaking. But this is Devil's Reign. It was I'll be honest, it kicked off so badass. It kind of fizzled out there towards the end because you have to continue the story. It does leave enough for you wanting more, of course, because that is the point of these events. You want to keep reading and keep seeing where these characters are going to end up. And also at this time, there's 2 Daredevils running around. One of them is a lady Daredevil. Now, the Omega issue, all the way back here in the back, is collected. And you can find out exactly what the Omega Aftermath issues are. And all of these right here are the extras. So it's a big book. 208 pages, $34.99. I love that cover there by Romita Jr. That is awesome. Hugh Lee. And that is Jim Chung. Jim Chung's been doing these black and white covers, huh? Because I just noticed the other one in Silver Surfer. But these are all of the variants. Well, sorry, most of the variants. I'm not going to show them all. They're all the way here in the back. And how you can collect Daredevil in collected editions. They are coming back into print too, the ones that have been out of print. I just talked about this book, or the characters rather, but this is Devil's Reign Superior 4. However, this also has Devil's Reign Spider-Man. So this collects the Superior 4 miniseries, all 3 issues, and the one-shot. So you have Devil's Reign, nope, it's not Omega. I think that's actually supposed to be Superior 4 by Zach Thompson. And then you have the Spider-Man one-shot by Anthony Piper. So this is the series that I was talking about that is spinning out of Devil's Reign. This is the character of Superior Dr. Octopus, or Superior Octopus, if you will. And he's pretty much going around to different dimensions after getting his 3 variants. So you have Otto Banner from Earth 8816. You have Otto Blaze from Earth 1666, which makes sense. And Otto Howlett from Earth 9712. Maybe 1972. Yeah. But anyway, you can see that he's Wolverine, Hulk, and the Ghost Rider. And he remains Superior Octopus. And what he wants to do is travel to different dimensions to recruit other Otto characters. And that's pretty much what this miniseries is. This is what I was talking about. I mean, it has very little to do with Devil's Reign other than the fact that he is helping out Wilson Fisk, but then he has his own agenda, of course. This is Doc Ock we're talking about. And as he goes through different dimensions, he gets to meet almost like the ultimate Doc Ock version of himself. This right here, Dr. Doom, who has his own little secret identity with a cute little spin on it. but I did want to showcase what the artwork looked like. Now, if you're asking why are the Superior 4 a thing, well, that's because of Devil's Reign. That's why I meant you have to have read Devil's Reign to see what's going on in these books, because in Devil's Reign, they put out an order against these criminal vigilantes, as Wilson Fisk likes to call them. So a couple of them have been arrested. You have Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman, they're put away. So Otto gets the Baxter building. And first order of business, like I said, is to go and recruit more Otto Octavius. So now the next story is Spider-Man Devil's Reign. It's just a one-shot. The important thing to note in this particular story is that this is during the time of Spider-Man when it's the Spider-Man Beyond character. So if you don't know anything about that, go and check out Beyond, because we're not really looking at Peter Parker anymore. You can find out, because I've done overviews of those, and I've talked a little bit about spoilers, but I won't do it here just in case you haven't read those. But this is him pretty much escaping, getting captured, and it's the Rose. He's back, one of Wilson Fisk's son. Now, is it the original Rose, or how is he back? You can find all that out by yourself, but he's sending his own, quote-unquote, Thunderbolts after this Spider-Man. And instead, he decides to kidnap one of his friends, so that's pretty cold. Now, because, you can't capture Spider-Man, there's a really cool variant cover right here. Oh my gosh, I love this variant. Over to the right by Maria Wolf. That is a freaking awesome variant. I mean, nothing wrong with that one right there. Which I assume it's a take on the Rat Fink. There's a badass Rose cover. And then some of the cover sketches. And some of the pages and inks from the inside of the book right here. But this book retails for $15.99, and it has 112 pages. Alien Revival, otherwise known as Alien Volume 2, by Philip Kennedy Johnson. And holy crap, did I enjoy that first story arc in here. So this collects issues 7 through 12 of the Alien 2021 series, as well as the annual. The artwork supplied by Salvador La Roca, Guru FX doing the colors, but Philip Kennedy Johnson just killing it with the writing. I enjoyed the first one. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as the Astonishing Melanie. Astonishing Melanie loved the first volume. This one here, dude, I was in on this one. So these are a group of terraformers that are up in some kind of planet. Doesn't matter, it's not Earth. But the difference with these particular characters is that they're all a huge Christian group, and they're out here, and of course there is a xenomorph invasion, right? They all get along, they all go to church, they all have a good sense of just a community and fellowship. And one of them, the main character really, Jane, this lady right here, she has a debilitating disease. Something is killing her. She goes into details a little bit. She's a little vague at first, and nobody really knows what's happening, because she doesn't open up about it. But she does tell one of the other colonists that, hey, there is a cure, but I have to go to Earth. So this is a lot about faith. It kind of reminds me of that story by Mike Mignola, and it was in one of the Omnis. Holy crap, that one blew me away. I love the fact that there was, 6 issues of this, because they see a wreckage, and in that wreckage is nothing but trouble, right? You see a bunch of people come out and their chests burst. I mean, it is graphic as hell, just like the movies, hence the parental warning. I love that they don't try to hide away from that. It's a little bit of language in here, but it's mainly about the actual violence. That's what gives it a parental guidance. Or parental guidance, parental advisory. But this is what the art looks like. I don't want to give too much away about this, because I think the plot is what really drove me to keep reading this. It's a lot about questioning your faith, and also the faith, not just between them and God, but also between each other, who they can trust, and who will turn on you when things get hard. Salvador La Roca's artwork honestly does a great job showing off these different alien landscapes. His art is a lot different than what I grew up with. I'm a big fan of his artwork from the moment he took over Excalibur. And then when he was doing Extreme X-Men, Thought his art was great in that because I love the fact that they were just coloring on top of pencils. But here, yeah, you could tell that he's using some kind of light box. The colors, at times, not as... Honestly, it's not like his Star Wars run with Jason Aaron. It does feel like they have kind of backed off of those colors to make him look like he's actually using a light box. But then we have the annual. Now, the annual to me just felt like a stereotypical type of story I've read before. Nothing against it. It's still a pretty fun story, but it's all about them trying out experiment things on some of the soldiers, of course, with the xenomorphs, and then one of the soldiers actually questioning if this is moral and what he should do about it. That's pretty much it. It's a story that I've read before. Nothing really stood out about it. The artwork, again, supplied by Salvador La Roca. But that story arc, the revival story arc, holy crap. Now, as far as the extras, I have to say that's one of my favorite things about these collections are these awesome freaking variant covers. Like, some of them are just, wow. I would love to hang that up on my wall. That just looks completely beautiful. And hopefully one day, other people will go on about this particular series and they can give us some kind of oversized hardcover treatment, because I think he is continuing to write the series too. It's going to be another group of miniseries though by Philip Kennedy Johnson. Maybe we can get an oversized hardcover of this. Next up is Reign of X Volume 13. We're about to wrap up the Reign of X and move on to the Trials of X. So here's a cover of Sword. So Sword is in here. And this kicks off with Planet Size X-Men number 1. It has X-Corp number 2, New Mutants number 19, Wolverine 13, Sword number 6. So what does that all mean? We got the Hellfire Gala collected in here, baby. So Reign of X is actually collecting the entirety of the Hellfire Gala. And if you want to know more of an in-depth review, I think I've talked about it with the Astonishing Melanie. I've done a review of the trade paperback. I'll put the link somewhere on the video. Click above to check out that video, rather, of what exactly the Hellfire Gala is. So, Planet Size X-Men, I mean, that's a pretty big book. So, this book has 160 pages and retails for $17.99. And the event goes through all the issues of X-Men during that time, including some of the miniseries like X-Corp, so they get involved. So, everybody gets all decked out for this particular party that they're having. But it's really a way to introduce a new team of X-Men too, and move from what is known as the Jonathan Hickman era of X-Men to the new Dawn of X era of X-Men. So all the writers and all their comics get involved, everybody gets dressed up, and of course parties never go the way they are always intended to go. Now all the way in the very back is where they collect, not all, but this isn't much of a spoiler. It's just a father hugging his daughter. How sweet. Or are they even still related? Who knows anymore? Here we have some variant covers for Planet Size X-Men. And then, of course, the design covers. I love that different people got to design the costumes, not just Russell Dodderman. That Hellhound costume by Dodderman, though. Dang. That is awesome. And then there's one back here by Simone Bianchi. But $17.99 collecting those issues, pretty much the first half of the Hellfire Gala. Doctor Strange Infinity War. Now, this is volume 10 of the Epic Collections, retailing for $44.99. I realize with 11 books I can't spend as much time as I normally do on these. These stories have been previously collected in the omnibus editions. As a matter of fact, the omnibus editions are a little more complete because they feature the Secret Defenders issues, whereas this doesn't. This kind of just has the Return of the Defenders. You have Jeff Isherwood supplying most of the artwork in here, and then Roy and Dan Thomas supplying the writing. You do have a Ron Mars story in here. So this is Doctor Strange Infinity War, and of course it kicks off with the Infinity Gauntlet crossover. So Doctor Strange played a pretty big role in Infinity Gauntlet. Those issues have been collected in that omnibus, and the Infinity War issues have been collected in the Infinity War omnibus. So the new stuff that's in here, for anybody that's just getting Epic Collections, are the stories like, there's the Trilogy of Fear in here. But He's got ties to Adam Warlock. Actually, after the Infinity War, I found it funny that we have a Frankenstein story. So the Infinity Gauntlet The Infinity Gauntlet wraps up. He got to play a big role in that with Thanos, the restoration of the universe, what ends up happening to the 6 Infinity Gems. And then Silver Surfer comes back and attacks him, and he's like, whoa, dude, what's going on? I thought we defeated Thanos. What are you doing? And it all leads into this particular story, this Frankenstein story. And that leads into the Great Fear trilogy. So you have the Spare and Nightmare and, what's his name? The Dark Summoner. All of them teaming up right here. The Dweller in the Darkness, that's his name, not the Dark Summoner. Teaming up to take down Doctor Strange and using any means to take him down, including attacking his friends like Clea. But Clea's a badass during this time, so I don't know what the hell their point was to try to do that. But here we have all 3 of them. Even has Daredevil's guest starring in this particular issue. Then we have my favorite Canadian. No, not Curtis. My favorite knucklehead here, Wolverine, showing up at the door of Doctor Strange and just picking a fight with him. Why exactly is Wolverine doing that? Why is trouble always coming looking for Doctor Strange? Now, the Doctor Strange annual right here is part of the Return of the Defenders. So they give you a quick recap as to what happened with the previous issues of the Defenders. So this is Roy Thomas writing his particular part, and it's just reuniting these characters of the Defenders. Again, in the omnibus, they actually have all of the annuals collected in there, like the Silver Surfer annual and the Incredible Hulk annual. But in here, you just have the Doctor Strange annual. All of that leading into what will be the new Defenders era. By the way, this always throws me off, including the omnibus when I saw this in there. Whoa! No. They're flower patterns. Calm down. But when I flipped through here when I was reading this, I was like, wait a minute. Okay. Flowers. Got it. But they were just colored a little bit different there. It could have been fine if they had been colored like that. But, my goodness, where the hell was I? Okay, we go from one event of the Infinity Gauntlet to the Trinity of Fear to the annuals, and now we have another event, and that is the Infinity War crossover. This, of course, he didn't play a big role like he did in the original Infinity Gauntlet, but he does get to play a major role, and we have the return of a Strange character. I love that when people run into Rintra, they're like, who the hell is that? And Doctor Strange always says, hey, he's not a demon. He did not escape. I'm training him. He's a sorcerer supreme from another planet. But everybody always mistakes him for a demon. So this does have the return of some characters here that we hadn't seen for a while in the world of Doctor Strange. And team up with 90s characters like Sleepwalker, and there's nothing wrong with Sleepwalker. But the other thing that's collected in here, which, have I talked about what's collected in here? I haven't. Holy crap. Okay, let's talk about that. Let's collect Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme 34 through 47. Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme Annual number 2. Silver Surfer 67. Spider-Man Doctor Strange The Way to Dusty Death graphic novel back here. So the whole time I'm talking about how, the omnibus collects more because it has this. It actually has the annuals. Y'all didn't know what the hell I was talking about because I didn't talk about what's collected in here. So this is, speaking of trilogy, this is kind of like the third book in this Doctor Strange Spider-Man team-up that all started with Spider-Man Annual number 2. As a matter of fact, it has a returning character. So, Doctor Strange, by the way, is it MC Wyman? Oh no, Michael Baer. Draw some ladies. The hell am I talking about? Okay, so Spider-Man is mourning the death of his uncle. It's the anniversary of the death of his uncle. And instead of going with Aunt May, he was out roaming the streets because that's what your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man does. And then he's on a bridge. Man, he is just, like, self-loathing himself. And the bridge reminds him of Gwen Stacy. Then he sees this lady and he's like, wait a minute. I see Gwen. And then he's like, no, it's not Gwen Stacy. It's another lady. Why is she trying to kill herself? So he goes and rescue her. And then he finds out that this lady is somebody that he knows. This is Melinda Morrison from, again, the Spider-Man annual with the team up. So you have the Return of Demons, you have her secret, why she's back, and the team up with Doctor Strange. And like I mentioned, man, this dude can draw some ladies. Just saying. I mean, his dudes look good too, but shape of that lady. This book has 480 pages. Let's look at the extras. There's really not many extras all the way in the back. Yeah, just the Tales of Ashanti endnotes there. 480 pages, retailing for $44.99. Last but certainly not least, Fantastic Four Annihilus revealed. This is a big deal. It's a big deal for the people that don't collect Marvel Masterworks, but collect Omnis and trade paperbacks, or just Epic collections. So this is volume number 8. This goes past the Fantastic Four in omnibus format. As a matter of fact, it kicks off with issue number 126. So this collects Fantastic Four 126 all the way to 146. Annual number 10, which it's not really the annual, it's just a cover because the annual reprinted some stories in the past. And Giant Size Superstars number 1. Also collects material from Foom 1, 4, and 5. By now, Stan Lee has officially left the book, came back a little bit with kind of a galactic story in his New Herald. Roy Thomas has taken over the book completely, but he only sticks around for a little bit because he moves on to other projects, and he was an editor too at the time. So eventually Jerry Conway comes back to the book. Big John Buscema supplying a lot of the artwork in here, and then eventually Rich Buckler takes over the book. There's a couple of fill-in art by Ross Andru and Ramona Fredon, which I had no idea she did any work for the Fantastic Four. But this is what the art looks like. We start off with kind of a retelling of the origin of the Fantastic Four, tying it in with Doctor Doom. We have the return of this lady right here. What is Queen Kala from the the Netherworld. That's what it is. And she was from issue, was it Tales of Suspense, I think? But she makes a return. And I love these pinups all the way in the back because you have the pinup of some of the friends or foes right here because they're always at odds. And then you have the Frightful Four. But the Frightful Four make a return, and it's about to change the status quo of the Frightful Four and the Fantastic Four. So this is also the first appearance of Thundra. And Roy Thomas introduces her with John Buscema as the new member of the Frightful Four. Now, this is also during the time, because I remember reading this when I used to have some of the Marvel Masterworks. It was an introduction by Jerry Conway and Roy Thomas, if I'm not mistaken. But talking about the feminist movement back then, that's why they created characters like her. So she does appear for a few issues. And this battle with the Frightful Four also is the exit of the Invisible Woman. She ends up leaving the Fantastic Four because she feels so useless to Reed. Like, he doesn't respect her as a hero. And Reed is kind of a prick. He's like, alright, deuces. You know what? The Fantastic Four will always have 4 members. We'll find somebody else to replace you. You ain't special. So she ends up leaving. And we do have a new member, of course, starting in the next issue with the return of the Inhumans. And it's not just the return of the Inhumans. We have the introduction of the Omega character right here. But what I always thought was pretty cool is this right here. Yeah, so we have Medusa joining the Fantastic Four, and she's using some Inhuman machine to turn her costume into a Four costume. Hey, that's cool. But Johnny Storm's like, wait a minute, I want at it. I want my own unique costume. That's interesting, because the Fantastic Four have always had the same costumes. So Johnny's like, no, I want my own costume. And he's like, I've always been a big fan of the original Human Torch, so I want that gold and red costume. So, yes, he was a fan of the android Human Torch. Reed gets his costume fixed, but he goes back to his boring costume. So, for a while, he gets to keep this gold and red costume. And this has a lot of good moments in it, but I will say it's not the same as the previous volumes. There's just something missing. There was magic, of course, between Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. And when Jack left the book, it just kind of was missing something. Here's the issue right here that is drawn by Ramona Fredon. And it is a Christmas issue. But the moments, or at least the highlights to me of this particular volume, are the shakeups that Roy Thomas was doing towards the beginning. You know, you have eventually Johnny and Crystal deciding to just end things, and Johnny's really torn up about it. He doesn't let it show, which is something that happens all the time in the Fantastic Four. They don't let their feelings out. You know, shaking up with Sue leaving the Fantastic Four and being replaced by Medusa. Now Jerry Conway decides to come on board and takes over the book with the Dragon Man storyline here, but he also brings back characters like Wyatt Wingfoot. He makes a return in here. He's been gone for a long time in these pages. Actually, the original girlfriend, Johnny's original girlfriend, what the heck was her name? Was it Dory? Dory something. Dory Stevens, Dory Evans. She makes a little cameo in this. But after John Buscema leaves the book, it's pretty much Rich Buckler that takes up over the book. This is the return of Wyatt. Here's the Miracle Man storyline. So this is not just the introduction of Thundra. This is also the return of Annihilus, the return of Agatha Harkness. There's a new character, this guy right here, Darkoth, I think. Was that his name? Darkoth right here, the Death Demon. He makes an appearance in this particular volume. You have Joe Sinnott supplying a lot of the inks throughout the volume. And like I said, Human Torch does get to keep that costume all the way through these particular issues. But you have the giant-sized superstars here, which is just a big fight with the Hulk. And it's just a thing against the Hulk. And then you have some interviews and articles back here. There's the Fantastic Four annual number 10 cover. The Foom stuff back here. Talking about the FF. And this is the Fantastic Four checklist when they were released. What the title, or I'm sorry, what is important about the issues. No, wait, that is the title of the stories. Man, that is hard to read. That blue on white. And I don't have my readers on. I'm sorry, my progressives. That's what they're called now. So there's all the stuff back here from Foom magazine featuring the Fantastic Four. So a lot of extras back here. Here's the cover productions. But these are the photo stats. So these are the original photo stats. This one here by Steranko. So for the final cover, it says the Thing's right hand and arm were repositioned. Additional sand was added. And then some original pages. So the book has 504 pages. This one retailing for $44.99, and that is the Fantastic Four Annihilus revealed. And that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing any of these books, don't forget to check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content and page count of each of these books. Let me know in the comments down below which ones you have picked up or you're picking up, what collection you are continuing, whether it's Fantastic Four, Doctor Strange in epic format, or you're gonna wait around for the Fantastic Four Omnibus Volume 5, or you already own Doctor Strange in Omnibus format. And if you're following the Star Wars series, what you thought about Devil's Reign, and hopefully we'll get an Alien by Philip Kennedy Johnson sometime, like an oversized hardcover would be really nice. But let me know your comments, your thoughts, your questions in the comments section. Everyone stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.